Good evening.
Removed.
Yo,
the government, states, all of they start putting these RICO acts on Diddy, all of these guys, and try to put it on these ongoing criminal organizations. I ain't never seen the government put a RICO act on the KKK.
switch happened. Come on, man. You got to acknowledge this. This is the problem that I have with elders like you, because you fail to acknowledge that this stuff has happened.
If we sit there and be old school, we gonna miss the boat. You know, a lot of this kids 19 years old buying houses with Bitcoin, buying Maserati.
Wow.
If a man takes charge and he shows that he's
disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Described him as one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
Welcome to the man cave. And I used the wrong intro, but welcome to the new party. I'm Gray Mar.
I'm Skeptic.
I'm Mia.
I'm the Mexican Velma.
We got Mexican Velma back, but today is September 11th. Never forget. So I think we should just all go around and say where we were on that day and how it affected us. I was in 7th grade. I was in Mr. Brown's class in Valdosta, Georgia. I remember it was kind of crazy because it was like the next teacher I had was crying. So it was a wild moment. And my mom was actually in Atlanta, so I was at my aunt's house. And my aunt is like a person that watched the news all the time, so she just watched it like over and over and over again. Like, so I just had to keep seeing the planes going to the buildings. So what about you, Skeptic?
So I was in the 3rd grade or the 2nd grade. I think it was 3rd. I didn't speak much English, and at the time that this was happening, I had no idea what they were saying. And I just remember that I was like crying, like I want to go home, and they were like, "You can't go home. We're on lockdown. We're like shut down," and they wouldn't let us go home. So one thing that I remember was that I was like, "Get me home right now." And the crazy thing was we didn't have TVs like back then. I'm that old. We didn't have TVs like that. There was this tiny little like monitor that they had in the corner, and they kept playing it over and over, and the teachers just let us sit there and watch it. Like we were little kids and we were terrified, and they just kept playing it over and over. So not such good memories, but I do remember getting home, my mom not letting us watch it, and then later on I saw a lot of the videos and I understood why.
What about you, Mia?
I was in school, and I just remember lessons, like class being stopped. I mean, I was in 7th grade, 8th grade, and they stopped all the classes, corralled every single one of us in the gymnasium. Our district did a district-wide lockdown. Everybody was locked down. Doors were locked. And they thought it was appropriate to have, I don't know, 150 kids in the gymnasium with like 4 or 5 TVs watch over 3,000 people die, and to think that we wouldn't have some sort of dark humor from that and our developing age. So we have clearly elder millennials have the worst dark humor because like what else can you do? You're like, oh, I don't know, 11, 12 watching over 3,000 people die, not quite understanding what I was watching. And then when I got home, my mom was crying. My dad called to check in on me. And since I was with him on the weekends, that was like a big deal because he didn't really call during the week. It was just like a really, really big deal.
Mexican Velma?
So I'm trying to remember because I was homeschooled and then I got thrown into the public school system. So I was probably maybe, well, I'll tell you when I saw it, like to remember the day, because I really don't remember what grade I was in, to be honest with you, since, back and forth. But they rolled in the TV and they put it on, and I just remember like having kids, like little kids, laugh at the situation. And I was like distraught, like not scared, but more like what is going on at a young age. That's pretty like, and I remember I was like, why are y'all laughing? This isn't funny. Like what, but that was pretty much my memory. Like right now I'm trying to go back to memory. It's foggy.
For sure. So we're going to get straight to it. It's a lot to uncover. So I'm going to do the latest news report on what's going on with the guy that took Charlie Kirk's life.
FBI and Utah police postponing a news conference, citing, quote, rapid developments in our investigation, end quote. And now a source tells CNN that FBI Director Kash Patel is en route to Utah to assist the investigation. Hello, everyone. I'm Casey Hunt. Welcome to the arena. Those rapid developments coming just hours after they released these photos of a person of interest connected to the case. The person seen wearing a hat, sunglasses, a long sleeve shirt. Let's be clear, the FBI says this is a person of interest. They have not yet identified them formally as a suspect. Earlier in the day, police announced that they've recovered what they believe to be the murder weapon, a high-powered rifle alongside ammunition and a screwdriver in a wooded area near the crime scene. Sources tell CNN that the rifle and the ammunition were marked with phrases related to cultural issues. We are still working through what those phrases and cultural issues are, but authorities are analyzing them as they try to identify the suspect. The FBI is now offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to their arrest.
Any attack on the First Amendment is an attack on the very foundation of our democracy. That is why we will relentlessly pursue this case and the shooter until we find him.
All right, our panel is here, but then we're going to get started with our CNN team. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez, national correspondent Nick Watt, who is on the campus of Utah.
So that's the latest news report. Mia, I know you've been following this closely. What do you think about, or have you heard anything else about the assassin being caught? And, you know, how has it been on social media? Because I've seen a lot of crazy stuff about that too.
Yeah, so I did share some stuff on my X page. There's been multiple sources that talk about a potential private jet that just conveniently left within 10, 15 minutes of that, which this person could have taken a foot route from where they were to this private jet. And this private jet actually went ghost for about 20 minutes and then came back online. So it's a very developing story at this point in time. But the number one thing is whoever did this was probably professional. It was very coordinated. This was not sloppy like Pennsylvania Butler, that assassination attempt. This was very coordinated. They knew where to go. They scoped it out. I'm sure before they knew where to shoot. And then they knew how to get out without being seen at all by a single person, which is pretty rare because there was 1,000 people in that crowd. Everybody has phones and this person managed to elude, which tells us that, I mean, I'm going to be honest here, in a crowd of Utah, they're probably white. They're going to sneak through, be able to get through 1,000 people and not a single person notice. They're unassuming. They're not tall. They're not short. They're probably of average height, probably of average build, have a hat on. I mean, that is just me speculating, but in that kind of environment, in that kind of area, it was definitely probably a white male that did this, regardless of political affiliations. There's no way a black motherfucker is going to be in Colorado with 1,000 people and nobody not notice. You know what I mean? So we can assume that's probably who they're looking for just based on logic.
Before Velma and Skep to respond, I want to have this reporter explain how he escaped and everything.
Again, CNN national correspondent Nick Watt. He's joining us right now from Orem in Utah. And CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez, who's monitoring this investigation for us. Nick, let me start with you. What's the latest out there in Utah that we have learned about this killing?
Well, Wolf, we have just heard from officials that they had what they describe as breakthroughs during the night. This is coming from the special agent in charge from the FBI Salt Lake field office and from local officials here in Utah. So here is what we know. They are calling the suspect he, him. They're saying that this is a male, college age, who blended in well on campus. They say that they do now have, which they didn't yesterday, they do now have a good image of that suspect. And they are right now using technology to try and identify the person from that or those images. If they fail with that technology, they say they will release these images through the media to the public. The FBI says they've had about 130 tips, Wolf, and they are asking for more. Any eyewitness accounts, any images, still or video, they want them. Now, we also got a little bit of a timeline. They say that they have now tracked the suspect's movements on campus. He arrived on campus 11:52, as I said, blended in with the college crowd is what they say this person looks like. went up a stairwell onto the roof after the incident, jumped off the building. Unclear how that happened, but jumped off the building and then fled off campus through a residential neighborhood. So during the night, investigators were speaking to people in that neighborhood, looking for eyewitness accounts, looking for video from doorbell cameras, etc. They also, in a wooded area, have recovered what they believe is the weapon that was used to kill Charlie Kirk. They describe it as a high-powered bolt-action rifle, and right now they say they are working on trying to trace the ownership of that weapon. Now, they say
Mexican Velma, they talked about it being like cultural markings on the bullet. And do you feel like this is definitely a political hit? Because, I mean, what they're telling the local populations that they don't have to worry about anyone else being hurt, that this was definitely a targeted hit.
I mean, he talked about everything. First of all, it was very tragic what happened to him. You know, he gave everybody a public forum to be able to discuss issues that need to be discussed, because if we don't talk, then we don't have anything. There's no foundation. And if we don't talk about certain situations, then we have bigger issues at hand. Do I believe, honestly, at this point, anything is possible? I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't out of hate, because you could definitely see that it was out of hate. I mean, the man literally just talks to you. What else? But do I believe that there might be people on the inside? Maybe. I don't know. At this point, I mean, they're saying one person's one suspect, another person's another suspect. And to be honest with you, the color of skin doesn't matter, because anybody could have done it at this point. Black, white, Mexican, whoever.
Skeptic, what about you?
So I want to start off by saying hi to the chat. The chat is going crazy right now. We have 700 people in. We should have more likes. You guys make sure that you're liking the live and that you're hitting the love for everyone that's in the chat. So hit those hearts and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you for joining us today. Honestly, I feel like what I have been reading on, I kind of can see what Mia is saying. I don't tend to speculate on things much. And like I always say, I'm not really a big conspiracy person, but I have seen a lot of things that I think are kind of questionable. Also, the things that he was saying towards the end. I know that like we have had people here who have been at Turning Point USA and have said how they had, you know, flags from they were big time Zionists, right? He was a big time Zionist. I want to say that towards the end, he was kind of questioning some things. So I can kind of see this like, you know, I can see what Mia is saying. I think it makes kind of a lot of sense. It does seem like it was planned out. Just like everything that was happening seems to be planned out. However, I do think that the things that he stood on to me were very controversial. And so I've kind of been seeing the after effect of this. HBCUs closed down today because there was a correlation between them and what happened with this man, which I think is very tragic. We had multiple school shootings that I feel like no one's really speaking on. So there's been like so much stuff going on that I think is very tragic that also, you know, has some kind of connection to it.
For sure. Well, right-wing influencers are scared, and you said how me and Nora went to Turning Point USA, and this is who we met, and he seems pretty afraid.
And so I really want you to be careful, because you do a similar show to the one Charlie Kirk did. You know, it's probably based a little bit around that. The same people that want Charlie Kirk dead, that are celebrating his death, would celebrate if we died. So
yeah,
this is something
it's actually very disturbing.
It is. It's just like, look how many people we live amongst that would celebrate and want us dead for having a difference in political opinion.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely nuts that like if anything ever happened to either of us, they'd celebrate and rejoice, right? Like I'll give you an example. If Dean Withers, right, died tomorrow, if Ethan Klein died tomorrow, I wouldn't be celebrating, bro. I would, despite the fact that I dislike Ethan Klein a bunch. He's a fucking scumbag. He's a fucking retard, right? Dude is literally the biggest piece of shit on YouTube, in my opinion. I would still offer condolences. I would still feel sorry. I wouldn't make a video talking shit about him and rejoicing on his death. But it's incredible to me how, like, you know, if the roles were reversed, he'd probably laugh if I died. I'll be honest with y'all. If something happened to me, he'd probably laugh about it.
I think he would
Now,
too.
yeah, and now people say, "Oh, well, Myron, why would you exercise compassion for someone that wouldn't do it for you?" Because I'm not them. I'm not a faggot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't rejoice when people die when I have disagreements with them.
We got to
right?
be
I'm not
better
going to
than
stoop
that.
to their level.
We can't go down to that.
So, Mexican Velma, you're obviously Mexican and you're on the right. And, you know, with Myron, he's Sudanese and he's on the right. Do you feel like it's a threat for influencers that are on the right now?
Not just only influencers, honestly, it could be anybody. And not just only on the right, it could be on the left. At this point, anybody's up for grabs. I don't see it as just the right. Well, we're going to get the right. No, no, no. It could actually be the left too. So at this point, I don't think it's right or blue or red. At this point, it's about logic and it's about evil versus good. It's about insanity versus sanity at this point.
Mia, you talk a lot about censorship, especially on TikTok on the right. Do you think Myra has a right to be scared, or is he over exaggerated?
I mean, before I get into my opinion, there is a fantastic commenter called Truth Hurts that says 3 women and a black guy, not much intelligence here. My guy, if you don't like it, nobody's keeping you here, buddy. Nobody's keeping you here, bub. See you later, bye,
I'm
Truther.
Mexican. I don't know what you're talking about, baby.
Nobody's keeping you here. Like, you don't have to be here, dude. You can see yourself out, my guy. It's all good. We won't miss you. Nobody else none of the other commenters will miss you either. You can see yourself out.
I'm happy he's
God
not
bless.
colorblind. I'm very happy he's not colorblind. It's a disease.
So in honor of my favorite Italian, Enzo, I'm gonna say my favorite quote that he loves: "The turntables do turn." The turntables turn. So as Miss Velma was saying, anybody's gonna get it. Everybody's up for grabs, and all these people that are rejoicing, you know, turntables turn, baby. Karma gets hers one way or the other, whether it's your job, whether it's whatever. And, you know, TikTok can censor a lot of stuff, but they're not able to censor everything. And I've seen so many people get banned. Quite a few people today, 24 hours later, have lost their jobs. I mean, I don't think Myron... To each their own. I don't think anybody should live in fear, but I think people should also think twice about what they post and just make sure you're okay with the implications. Do I think we should be killing each other over free speech? Absolutely not. To me, that's pointless. If you don't like what somebody has to say, they make a block button. Block them. Scroll on by. That's what intelligence tells you. If you don't like 3 brown chicks and a black man, scroll on by, baby. Block us. It is not that hard. You know, and I think a lot of people don't quite understand how algorithm works. The more videos you watch, the longer you watch, they track it. And if you like it or comment, you engage with the algorithm. So they will repeatedly show that person to you, thus pissing you off even more, thus getting in your mindset. So people need to stop being idiots. Myron, I guess, has a reason to be afraid because he does say some like really crazy stuff. I don't like him, but I mean, it is what it is.
Well, some people are not backing down. Ben Shapiro had this to say.
It's still up to us. I saw a lot of rumors online today. I was made aware of this by my team that I canceled some sort of college tour. That's bullshit. I saw those rumors. They are false. I will be coming to college campuses, many of them this year. So will we all, I am sure, because we're Americans and we're not going to be deterred. Charlie's voice is not silent. We're going to pick up that bloodstained microphone where Charlie left it. And to those who would intimidate, who would seek to stop us, who would seek to end free discussion, who believe that they have ownership over public spaces and can violently threaten and kill people who speak freely, we are not going to stop. And I have 2 words. Fuck you. We will not stop telling the truth. We will never stop telling the truth. We will never stop debating and discussing. We will never stop standing up for what America is and for what she should be. And we will never let Charlie Kirk's voice die. Goodbye to my friend, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing for your family and for your country and for all of us.
So, Skeptic, that was a big act of defiance from Ben Shapiro. How do you feel about him saying they're still going to go to college campuses? Do you feel like that people should stop going to college campuses to debate?
So I think I wanted to kind of like bounce off of this. I think it's interesting when we say like the tables are going to turn, because when we saw a state representative be unalived by a radical person on the right, I didn't see the president calling the family. I actually saw them start, throwing blame on the governor and on government officials. So I think it's interesting now that it's on the other foot, the shoe's on the other foot, that they're like, oh, we need to come together and we need to, condemn this type of behavior. But the same thing didn't happen when it was done to someone on the left. So that's an interesting point to me. And I will also say he's speaking as if he's certain about something that we don't know is true yet. Nobody has been actually arrested. How is it that you're speaking towards someone when you don't even know who's to blame? How is it that you're already blaming a group of people when you don't even know the full story? So we're jumping the gun here and putting blame on someone when we really don't have the facts to back that up. For all I know, what I saw in the video, it looked like people that were behind him were giving out signals. So how is it that I'm going to stand here? I'm not sitting here and blaming a certain government. I'm not sitting there and saying, oh, the last interview that Ben Shapiro held with this man was kind of questionable whenever he asked about, Zionism and what's happening in Gaza. And Ben Shapiro's face was disgusted. I'm not putting blame on anyone. So how is it that we jump to place blame on a group of people when we have no facts to back that up? Like, that's my main question when I see this. You're instigating something with no actual proof to what you're standing on.
I want to play that video that you're talking about. I was going to play it when his last interview with Ben Shapiro and they talked about Israel.
We've pushed back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border, so like maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. So Ben, some people would accuse Israel of wanting to ethnically cleanse. Some people in the Israeli government are saying, again, it's all over the place, right? You have opinions all over. In your opinion, what would a good outcome 5 years from now be, and how does one respond to the claims of ethnic cleansing?
Is that the clip you were talking about, Skeptic?
Yeah, so it is, and I will say this to you, and again, I'm not the type to speculate. I'm not the type to kind of give into these type of ideas and stuff. But I will say, from what you guys have said, and we have people that were actually there were a lot of Israeli flags there, right? We know that this man was a big time influencer among the young people. So I would conclude that he was getting funding from this group of people that he was standing up for. What is it that we can see him change his tone as far as his support and actually beginning to ask questions. Not only that, but he did an interview with like the Brian guy, and he was saying like, when I went to Israel, I saw so many people, like you can't even walk in there without seeing a soldier. I've heard other people that have been to Israel say the same thing. So he was beginning to question things. How can you make the conclusion? How can you sit there and then speak to a group of people, again, without any actual facts? I'm not sitting here and blaming anyone, but how is it that Ben Shapiro sits there and blames the left with no real facts? What happened to facts over your feelings? You sound like you're speaking feelings instead of facts.
I know this is a touchy subject. Some people sometimes don't want to talk about Israel. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, Big Brother's watching. So it's a hot topic, but I mean, a lot of people will, the proof is in all of the videos we see of the starving and dying children. The proof is Israel attacked 7 cities in the last 7 days, all in other countries as well, countries that are allied with the United States, such as Qatar. Like, we're allied with them, and they actually helped the United States and Israel as well recently. So it's just interesting to me that he ends up assassinated when all of these things started happening. You know, he obviously, his words were changing when it came to Israel. He obviously had some questions. And, you know, it all kind of culminated. You also have the fact that allegedly BB, 20 minutes after Charlie was shot, BB actually released a statement in Israel saying that he was dead when we didn't even know he was dead. I think they were still working on him at the hospital. So it's just interesting, all of these little pieces that are kind of coming together to make a bigger picture.
Velma, did you see the video with Charlie Kirk
It
talking to
cut off, but I do know what y'all are talking about. So, like I said before, when I was on here, I'm not too sure if it was.
Secret Service Sam?
Yeah, I think that if it is the way it looks like it, the way it is, you know, he did like, you know, was just like, what? You got some explaining to do. You got some explaining to do. I would like to know, if he asked you a question, why couldn't you answer? That's all I want to know. You know what I mean? Why was there, like, the Israel showing their hand, the government showing their hand?
For sure. So Charlie Kirk actually said how he wanted to be remembered. So this is what he said.
Want to be remembered.
I mean, if I die,
everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
Charlie Kirk, thank you so much.
You
for
guys
coming
do
on
a
the
great
Ice
job. I
Coffee
wish we
Hour.
could.
How do you want to be remembered?
I mean, if I die.
Velma, I know last time you were on here, you talked about being saved. Do you feel like Charlie Kirk was right in his Christian faith and how he said he wanted to be remembered?
By his actions, yes. But who am I to say that he was right with God if God knows everybody, even by how many hairs you have on your head? I don't know your heart. God knows your heart. And if he repented of his sins and then he asked for Jesus Christ to come into his heart, then you know what? He's right next to the Savior right now. But that's everyone's decision. You can't force anybody to believe in something or someone that they don't.
For sure. Well, of course, the other conspiracy theory is the one thing that just won't go away, the Epstein list. And that's why people are thinking Charlie Kirk lost his life.
Opinion on the phase 1 release of the Epstein files. Do you think it was more of a PR stunt with Pam Bondi because she just got into office?
We as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever, period.
Right.
And so yesterday, I don't want to comment because a lot of these people are my friends, but they got to make it right. And we, the American people, ran on transparency. We deserve to see the entire client list.
Yeah.
Every document the government has regarding the Epstein files, we, the American people, should have on an easy-to-access website immediately in a very, very quick fashion. I'm pushing for that both privately and publicly, just so you know.
Yeah.
Secondly, there probably are a lot of destroyed documents. I think that's probably the issue. I can say with almost 100% certainty that Trump was not on the flight logs. But as far as the client list, that very specific thing, I don't know if it still exists. I'm worried that was actually deleted, destroyed, or disappeared. But look, statute of limitations for child sex trafficking goes for 30 or 40 years. We should impanel a grand jury, and every person involved in the Epstein child sex trafficking should go to federal prison for the rest of their life. Every single person. We need justice, and we need these people in federal jail.
Mia, you're our conspiracy theorist expert. I've heard everything from as a trans, Israel is because of the Epstein list. I don't know. It's all types of conspiracy. So is this just another conspiracy, and why are there so many conspiracies surrounding this case?
I mean, everybody loves sensationalism. I mean, we are growing up in the age of social media, movies, TV shows. We all love drama. We all love sensationalism. It's just kind of the cornerstone of our society. And that's kind of where we get conspiracy theories. I will say a lot of conspiracy theories do start from like a small grain of truth. I mean, a good lie is 80% truth and 20% lie. So, I mean, a lot of, in my opinion, this was a hit. This was orchestrated. And what is happening, the separation of us, the radicalization of us, is exactly what they want to happen. Because, I mean, we learned from being overseas where if you kill one moderate, you create 20 radicals. And they have killed one moderate because in actuality, if you take people's opinions, Charlie Kirk was pretty moderate. He was conservative, but in my opinion, he was a conservative moderate. He wasn't bad. He would talk to anybody. He gave everybody and anybody a chance to talk to him and a voice. He was never rude. He was never disparaging. He never cussed people out. He wasn't like that. He was very respectful to everybody that came up to that microphone to talk to him. And now they have opened the door for somebody like Nick Fuentes because now we have a power vacuum. I don't think people understand how many young teenagers, men and women, but specifically boys. My son's a teenager, and I can tell you undoubtedly 99% of teenagers out there are heartbroken. 99% of teenagers liked him. They followed him. And now, who are they going to look to? Nick Fuentes, who is a real racist, mind you. Nick Fuentes is a real racist. He stands on business when it comes to racism. And now that's the power vacuum we're in. So this was definitely a hit. It was definitely to separate us even more. I mean, geopolitics aside, I mean, the easiest way to conquer a country is to destabilize it from the inside. The CIA has done that on multiple continents. This is classic PSYOP. CIA is coming in, destabilizing us here. And then when you add in geopolitics, easy pickings. The only thing that's saving the United States right now is we have the Second Amendment. That's it. The only thing that is saving the United States right now is the fact that all of us are so heavily armed. Point blank, period.
Well, they're looking for this guy. They're saying that he cheered as soon as everything happened. I don't know if y'all saw it. So, Skepta, you were talking about the video behind the guy. We talked about that last night. I think Mia pulled that up. Have you seen this video with the guy cheering? Do you feel like the videos can be trusted, or are people just, seeing things or seeing what they want to see?
So I hadn't seen that specific video. I do know like a lot more information afterwards, like kind of comes out. I've seen like multiple videos of people behind him doing like different signs that seem kind of like sketchy to me. I do think there's an interesting thing to me that I've been thinking about with how meticulous this person was. To me, it seems a little bit questionable that you would leave a whole, like G out there with the bullets and stuff. Like, I don't know how I feel about that, because if you went through all of the complexities of how you were going to, do all of this and climb a whole roof, I feel like you would have a way to dispose of like this thing. So I've just kind of like, from listening to the news and what they've been saying, I think that's kind of like, it just kind of catches me off. Like every time I hear it, I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't sit quite well with me, being that this person was so meticulous, right? But yeah, I had something I wanted to say, but the chat is going off. So I can't even concentrate because I keep looking over there. But yeah.
Okay, so people are losing their jobs for talking about Charlie Kirk. So Mia, you're right. People are sensitive. This reporter, Matthew Dodd, lost his job because of what he said about Charlie Kirk.
Following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
So Mia, you were just saying how much people love him, and that guy lost his job just for saying that. Do you feel like that was fair?
I mean, I don't think it was fair. I mean, we're protected by the First Amendment to have an opinion. I don't think Charlie should have died over his opinions. I don't think this man should not, in the economic crisis we're in, not be able to afford to feed his family. I don't think that's fair at all. Unfortunately, that is the world we live in. And to be honest, I mean, How many, cancel people, certain people invented cancel culture. They wrote the playbook. And now, I mean, it doesn't feel good when it's on the other foot. Like I said, turntables turn, dude. You can't invent a cancel culture 5 years ago for canceling people for having an opinion. And then now turntables turn, baby. And the shoe's on the other foot. And now these political view people are losing their jobs now. Now they know what it feels like to have to be held accountable for your words and potentially lose your job. Like I said, turntables turn, dude.
So I'm gonna play what Trump said because people are saying why the left is being blamed. Trump pretty much blamed the left in his address about the Charlie Kirk situation.
Great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there has never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Mexican Velma, is Trump right? Is the left, the liberals to blame, calling the right Nazis and stuff like that, dehumanize them and make people feel like they shouldn't be alive?
Well, I mean, my own community does it to me and everybody else does it to me. So yeah, just because we have an opinion, and we're villainized for that. But if the left has an opinion, then they're okay with it. Now, going back to what Skeptic said about the governor on the left who got shot, right? Whenever that happened, I stood on that where I know that's wrong. And whatever side you stand on, it does not matter. Political violence is what pretty much Mexican people run from, right? Because it's a third world country. They run from different places because here is a country where that's not supposed to happen. And then it's happening here. So are we already a third world country? Are we becoming a third world country?
Well, I want to play Trump giving Charlie Kirk the presidential award, the medal.
Before you do that, can I say something?
Sure.
Because people in the chat be crazy. If you do not like my opinion, you are more than welcome to send $100, babe. Put your money where your mouth is. Send $100 in a super chat right now. I will shut my phone off and I'll leave. No questions asked. No shade, no blame, no nothing. No shade, no hate. If you don't like what I'm saying, send $100 super chat. I will leave right now.
$100. $100.
Very much.
I'm just saying.
Thank you very much. Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big.
So, Skeptic, people that have won the Presidential Medal of Freedom are Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Robert De Niro, Hillary Clinton, Bruce Springsteen, and George Soros. Do you feel like Charlie Kirk deserved the Presidential Medal of Freedom?
Well, I do want to say something first. As a proud Mexican woman, Mexico is not a third world country. Mexico is a developing country or a newly industrialized country. Mexico is actually the #1 trade partner to America. And Mexico has always had a strong economy, but now they have an even stronger economy, being that they just developed a new way to trade, where countries that used to use the Panama Canal don't have to use the Panama Canal any longer. So I think that's an interesting thing coming from a person of Mexican heritage. But I will say, I think that what people kind of lose when talking about a person is the views that they stood on. Some of the things that Charlie Kirk said on George Floyd when he was already passed away was that he was a criminal and a douchebag or a scumbag. So I think it's interesting now that people are like, oh, you can't speak ill of this person because he's passed away. This person spoke ill of other people that were passed away. He said he was advocating to have the police officer that was convicted of murder be released, and advocated for explaining away why he was unalive to begin with. So I think that his person, the morals that he stood on, again, like Mia says, the tables turned the other way. He said that we have the right to have guns, and therefore people that die in the hands of someone that has a gun are validated because that makes us be able to have guns. That gives us the fortitude of the Second Amendment. And it's kind of ironic because he himself lost his life while speaking on gang violence when he was asked about school shootings, when he was asked about gun violence. So it's like, it's interesting what a person stands on. It does matter the things that you say, your verbiage, the things that you stand on will matter even when you're passed away, because the things come back, like Mia said, the tables turn. And it's kind of like, interesting to me that then people try to turn around and stand on this horrible high ground as if we cannot use the words that someone spoke to explain away what they stood on.
Okay, so we're gonna end it with Charlie Kirk saying come together and, you know, the reason on why he feels like we should debate.
Sure. What was your name again? I'm sorry.
I don't think I told you. My name's Mercury.
Nice to meet you. Okay, I've been asked that question a lot. First of all, that question should not even have to be asked, but when people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When civilization stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. What we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.
You think that's not emotional violence?
How is this? What is emotional violence, by the way? I don't know what that is.
It is harm intentionally perpetrated on another another human being that is intentionally targeted at their emotional well-being.
Okay, so feelings mean nothing to me. Isn't why we had the First Amendment to try to push our boundaries and to hear things that might make you mildly uncomfortable?
This doesn't make me mildly uncomfortable.
It's to make you very.
So I'm gonna play Charlie with his family, and then we'll do the final thoughts. Mexican Velma, thank you for coming and always been available to come on the panel. What's your final
Thank you
thought?
for having me. Well, I mean, it's a tragedy of what happened to Charlie Kirk, and you know, prayers for his wife and his children. Yeah,
for sure. Thank you, Mia. What's your final thoughts?
First and foremost, nobody should ever die for their opinion. I mean, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I would like to read a quote from Tyrion Lannister that I think directly plays into this entire situation. When you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You were only telling the world that you fear what he might say. And with that, everybody have a good night.
Skeptic, what's your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that we need to try and support those that are being currently attacked, like the HBCUs that currently had to close their doors to their students. I feel for them and I advocate for threats to stop immediately. I also think that the person that did this should be apprehended and should be held to the fullest extent of the law. I don't think that he's innocent. I think that if he is guilty and they find the evidence that he is the person that did it, he should be held accountable. And I do want to say, follow us on TikTok. For everyone that came to the chat, we go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I almost forgot. And there's also the Man Cave that goes live Mondays. Oh, wait. Yes, right? Mondays.
Yeah, Monday and Wednesday.
Monday and Wednesday. So thank you guys for joining us. Follow me on TikTok and appreciate you guys in the chat. You guys were talking crazy, but we appreciate you for joining.
Yeah, follow everybody on the panel. All their social medias in their name. And if you're watching right now, hit that subscribe button and press that notification bell. Thank you, guys, for watching. I was the only black dude here tonight. Thank y'all for tuning in. We do this every Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Like we always say on a new party, always vote.